Sam the garbage man stole a pig and there he ran.
I go to pick up my shoe this morning, and I look inside, and there's a couple things in here, and it's from Sam the Raven. And one of the things that he put in here is a quarter. He put a quarter in my shoe, as if he's going to use this. Sam, you going to use this? He's over on my couch right now. Pretty good looking guy, Sam. And the other thing that he put in here is a piece of pork with calcium on it. Gee, thanks, Sam. Now, putting pork in my shoe this morning, weren't you, dude? Yeah, he doesn't care. See, he thinks it's funny. Sam, do you like to torture? He likes to torture. He's ignoring me. What a prick. Do you want your pork back, dude? This is as I put it back in. This is normal crow and raven behavior. And there's a lot of behaviors that, there's a lot of myth about crows and ravens and some other birds that, like a gray parrot, like people want them because of the myth, but they don't really understand what they're getting into. It's foolish to not really consider all aspects of the pet you want to get and make sure that you understand all the aspects of the pet that you're going to get. And a crow or a raven would not necessarily be a good pet for the first time pet owner or bird owner. They're difficult to deal with. The other day, we were sitting on the couch and he was taking his beak and going like this, and it's a real sharp beak. It looks like a little short steak knife, and he's screwing up my couch. Now, is it a big deal? No, I had to tell him to quit, and I'm getting a new couch. At some point, I'm going to get a new couch because this thing's beat, but when I bring the new couch in, he'd do the same thing to that. People don't think about this. They just think about like the gray parrot it's so smart. That seems to be the issue with people is they want an animal that's smart, but they don't understand when they get an animal that's smart, it can cause problems. Like with dog training, man, I tell people like you don't need a smart dog. You don't need a problem solver. You need a Marine. With birds, they're all smart. And they all can be problem solvers. So, you might want to think about this before you get like a gray parrot. A lot of people want the gray parrot because it can learn language. It's like this myth, but you're not going to be able to spend the time teaching the bird to do something like, Alec, the gray parrot, Pepperberg's parrot that learned all those words. It passed away years ago. I think his name was Alec. But they were working with that bird on a daily basis. I'm not saying that the birds can't understand what you're saying to them. They can, but you still have to work with them. You can't just think that the bird's going to pick up what you're saying. They're not. So they still have to be trained. And the person that's never had a bird before, like a gray parrot, they don't think about the beak, and that those hook bills, they hurt when they bite. A macaw will make your finger break your bone. A gray parrot, are you kidding me? It really hurts. Okay? So that beak too, they use that thing when they're around other gray parrots. You're not a gray parrot. So you're going to get bit. Know that. And if you're going to get a crow or raven, you're going to get bit. Okay? You're going to get bit. And if you can't deal with that, don't get the bird, because the bird shouldn't have to live in a cage. It's horrible. Now you get a gray parrot, they're going to be destructive too. They are. My cockatoo peaches, I have this it's just, I buy these tomato steaks. And I put them in like door frames and such, and peaches will be on the perch, the tomato steak perch, and go through it within a day, so that it's just, I have to put another one up. They chew up wood, and Sam the Raven was doing that to my floor this morning. I looked over and he was taking his beak and he was going like this, trying to get a piece of wood going, and then he pulls up a piece of wood off my wood floor. Now, is it a big deal? No, like I said, I'm an animal trainer, and I bought this house to work on. It's a dilapidated house. It's not a new floor. If it was a new floor, he'd have a hard time getting the wood up. But since there's big old cracks in this old floor, he can do it. I have raised Sam since he's a baby. He's a domesticated hybrid. He's a brown neck pied crow hybrid, and I've had him since he was 3 weeks old. They're expensive. If you know, don't listen. You cannot have a raven, an American raven, or an American crow. You cannot. And the same is true if you're in Canada. You can't just take species from the wild and keep them. You can't have a raccoon. You can't have any of these animals. And don't go off on like, oh, you can if you have a permit. Listen, you don't have a permit, and nobody's going to give you a permit. Okay? Are you a licensed rehabilitator? Wildlife rehabilitator? No, you're not. You cannot have a bird and keep it in a cage. Do you have a bird? I'm talking to the person that's in this video. Do you have a bird that is in its cage all day, its whole life? You should not have the bird. This happens so much with smaller birds, small birds, big birds. It doesn't matter for whatever reason. Those beautiful finches that you see at the pet store, I don't know anybody that has hand-trained a finch. It stinks. It stinks. You get the bird because it has beautiful colors or something, you want to look at it in the cage? What is your problem? You think that's quality of life for your finch or your canary or your budgie? You can't. It just pisses me off so much. It does. You should be more realistic when you were getting the bird, but if that's your expectations, that you just want to look at a warm-blooded animal in a cage, that's what it is. It's a warm-blooded animal, meaning it's smart and it's highly trainable, and you just want to look at it like it's a fish in an aquarium. You stink. You stink. It sucks. It sucks. So you can't have a North American raven or crow. That's just how it is, right, Sam? See, he's cool. I'm right up in his face. He doesn't really give a shit. But you know, once in a while he'll take a crack at me just to like get me to move. You know? He will. He can be a total douche. You just really have to know what you're getting into. Look at him. That is a good-looking bird. It is. Look at how awesome he is. I put out these videos to help birds, okay? Because there's millions of birds that are in cages right now that's going to be their whole life. Do you want to have a macaw? Okay, you see the macaws, the big parrots? You're going to have that big bird walking around your floor. Make sure that you know you're going to have to pick up after the bird. Now, with that said, where birds perch, they'll go to the bathroom, so you can throw some paper down. But you're still going to have to clean up. So if people ask me, they're like, can you house train a bird? And I'm like, well, you know where they perch, so you can put something underneath the perch, so sort of. But you still have to clean up. You still have, if you have a cat, you still have to sweep up the litter that the cat knocks out of the litter box. It's the same thing. You have responsibilities if you're going to get a bird. You sign a contract with these pets. People do this. That's what you're doing. You got the pet, you sign the contract, and then you don't give a shit. Oh, it's okay, it's pretty, it's over in a corner on a cage. You stink. You stink. People do the same shit with dogs, too. They do the exact same thing with dogs. They use wee-wee pads. They start using wee-wee pads when the dog's a puppy. The dog never gets housebroken. Never use wee-wee pads with a dog, a young dog like that, or an old dog. Don't start this. They're scented with a pheromone that smells like shit and piss to your dog. So you're telling the dog to go to the bathroom in the house. And then the person that does this, they never can get the dog off the wee-wee pad. They can't. They're too used to like, oh, it's cold out, I'm just going to put the pad down. You're lazy. You get a golden doodle, a labradoodle, anything like that, a big dog, a shepherd, and you're using wee-wee pads when they're a puppy, you're an idiot. Start taking that dog out right away. I'm not saying take it to the dog run. That's not what I'm not saying that. Don't take it to the dog run. It doesn't have all its shots, but you go out in your backyard where no dogs are so your dog won't get sick, or right out your door. All this stuff is not that difficult to understand. Someone with an average IQ can understand this. But there's people with above average IQs that don't implement anything other than stupid shit for the poor animals. They don't care. It's all about them. I have to have the animal for whatever reason, and then you can't deal with it proper. I hear it all the time. I want a raven, I want a raven, I want a crow. If you have the money, get yourself an African species. If you're going to take care of it, and you know that if the crow bites you or the raven bites you or whatever bird it is, my pigeon will bite. Sam. It's like a giant tart boy. Solar was just on my head. He loves to fight, doesn't he? Don't you, Solar? He does. He wants to go in this door. But so unrealistic. So unrealistic. Sam the Raven's awesome. I love the guy to death. But living with him at times is not easy. You know what a hassle it is to get a driver's license, right? It's a big pain in the ass. You have to have all this kind of information. The guy will, if I'm wearing these, and I have my wallet up here, and I take the wallet, or I take this off, and the wallet's still in here, zipped up, and he sees that the wallet was in here, he can unzip it. He goes down on the floor, he unzips it, takes my wallet, and starts looking for my driver's license, okay? Or whatever else is in there, but he likes the driver's license because it causes me the most stress when he's doing. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You know, give me my license back. He's taking his beak and doing this. But he could also, on the same hand, take it and hide it someplace that I can't find it. People are so unrealistic. Here's another thing that he does is he will take my coats and he'll try and fuck with the zippers. So if you know, are you gonna be okay with repairing a zipper? Is that not gonna bother you? Because that's the kind of shit that they do. You want the animal, including dogs, cats, but so many dogs, cats, birds, horses, they're all just like neglected. You know, you think that it's enough just to feed the animal. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Dogs need so much time. Birds need even more. You have to train the dog, and you have to keep up training its entire life. If you don't set up rules of discipline with your dog, it's like if you don't set up rules of discipline with your I'm looking at Sam, my raven or my cockatoo, like, okay, you're screwing up, dude, right? You're screwing up. Get back up on the couch. I don't want you on the floor doing that. And I give him a real harsh tone. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Get up here. I don't want you doing that. If you can't tell your pet no, and believe me, I've had people tell me that you're supposed to give a bird a physical correction. People that don't even own birds, you don't. There's no physical correction with a bird. Absolutely not. But there is a correction, and I'm using a pressure wave, like, knock that fucking shit off, something like that. Get up there. I'm sending them attitude. But if you have a pet and you can't use some kind of tone where the dog's screwing up or the bird's screwing up, teach the dog no. Why do you have the dog? Is this all about you? It's all about you, isn't it? Don't get a raven or a crow or a parrot or a dog or a cat, any warm-blooded animal, until you understand exactly what its capabilities are and what kind of behaviors it has in, nature is it going to do in your house? Is it going to want to do? It's not going to be able to harass a hawk, okay? So it's probably going to try and harass you or maybe one of your other pets or your kid. That's what they do. Sam's a raven. Look at Sam. Look at Sam. He's fucking awesome. What a guy. Little Sam.
Sam, the garbage man, stole a pig and there he ran.
That's his song, isn't it, Sam? See, I'm like right up on him. He could get my hand. He could. That's what I'm saying. He could. I'm fine with it. I knew what I was getting into. I work with animals. My whole day is going to center around animals and animal training. You, the person with the job, the person that works at Walmart, a gas station, a doctor, a lawyer. Well, a doctor or a lawyer would be smart enough to know. They would. They'd be smart enough to know, I would think. But the person with the job that wants to crow the raven, really, you got time for that? Because I'll tell you what, most people don't have enough time for a dog. So start thinking, do you want to wake up and have stuff in your shoe, like fucking pork? You want pork in your shoe? Well, once Sam was out, meaning he wasn't sleeping in the cage anymore. He was a certain age, like a dog. He can be out. He's more like a cat now. But once he was, I'll start finding meat buried beneath blankets and stuff, underneath my pillow. Can you deal with that? Does that bother you? Is this like having pork on your pillow? Is that going to flip you out? Don't get a raven. Don't get a crow. Don't get any animal until you understand the behaviors that it displays in the wild. It's going to do that in your home, and you have to figure out a way to be around the raven and let them display those things. I don't punish him for this. I don't start saying, you fucking asshole, you know? My driver's license is a different story. But this, what am I going to do? He's doing what he would do in the wild. He's going and hiding this. See what I'm saying? Sam's awesome, man. I love the guy. Just understand what you're getting into. Birds are a lot of work. They're more work than a dog. Can you handle a dog? Have you had like a dove? No. No, you've never even had a dove as a pet, but you want to get a raven or a crow. Birds bite. If you're not willing to get bit, do not get a bird. Absolutely do not get a bird. Here's Sam.
Sam, the garbage man, stole a pig and there he ran.